10 possible changes Triple H would make if he was in charge. Number 10. More action. One of the main reasons that NXT thrives is because of the action inside the ring, with a real focus on wrestling rather than long-winded promos to kickstart every single episode or tons of pointless backstage interviews that never lead anywhere. At Full Sail, everything is geared around what happens in the ring, with plenty of time being devoted to the wrestling itself, which allows the show to simplify by and means that when promos do happen, everyone listens. Triple H has already implemented this tactic on 205 Live, and the show has been much better because of it, so it wouldn't come as a surprise to see him do the same for the main roster if he was given the chance. Number 9. Cross-promotion matchups. Triple H has a firm grip of the wrestling landscape and how it is constantly changing and evolving outside of WWE. He is aware of things like Bullet Club and All In. He knows that New Japan and Ring of Honor are growing while more independence seems to be popping up on a weekly basis. This is something that is a major positive for wrestling in general and has allowed WWE to increase its roster by plucking the very best of the indies, but the possibility of cross-promotion matches hasn't been addressed yet. This would be an area that only Triple H would go into, as there's simply no way that Vince McMahon would consider it. But having the likes of New Day vs Bullet Club could bring in a huge audience and would be a risk worth taking. Number 8. Women's Tag Team Titles. One of the major reasons for the women's evolution, no matter how you look at it, is Triple H. While the women have done all the hard work inside the ring, engaging audiences and putting on fantastic matches, it was the game who first gave him that platform to shine. Without him doing that, it is unlikely we would be where we are today. He is always looking forward to the next obstacle for women, having the main event shows, have a Royal Rumble, a ladder match, a full tournament, and now a pay-per-view. One long rumored extension to that is a women's tag team titles. It is obvious WWE is gearing up that way. Looking at the number of paired women from Sasha and Bayley to the Riot Squad or Sonya and Mandy, this is something Triple H is hoping to add in the very near future. Number 7. More performance centers. Triple H is doing his very best to recreate the territory system, but with WWE owning all of the companies, he wants WWE to have a presence in several different markets and is doing a great job at making that happen. The Performance Center in Orlando, Florida is an incredible place with everything needed to make future stars, which is why he will likely aim to build more around the world, wherever WWE has plenty of talent. The first obvious place would be in the UK, where the company has already launched its own division and is now a touring brand. But it isn't going to stop there, with possible centers launching in Japan and Mexico too. Number 6. More managers. The art of the wrestling manager were starting to die in WWE, with only Paul Heyman keeping the role alive on the main roster. It seems as if Vince McMahon had simply had enough of them, but in NXT, Triple H has done the opposite. Tons of wrestlers have been given managers, and it has led to some incredible television, as well as helping to start the careers of talent such as Carmella and Alexa Bliss. It has also massively improved the wrestlers who have had one. This is especially beneficial for talent who struggle at speaking English, such as Andrade Cien Almas, who went from barely featuring on the NXT to being the champion within months after gaining a manager. Number 5. Longer wrestling matches. As mentioned earlier, NXT thrives because it focuses on the in-ring action, allowing the wrestling to enhance and continue storylines, often taking them to another level, and the reason they can do that is because they are given time in the ring to tell that story. On the main roster, wrestling matches will very rarely reach the 20-minute mark on TV, and even on pay-per-view, only the major storylines will be allowed that sort of time, which is something that Triple H is likely to address. His matches were always known for being slower in pace, and he has added that to everything he has been part of, and as he gains more control, he will do the same to Raw and SmackDown. Number 4. More tournaments. Everyone loves a classic wrestling tournament. When they're done right, there's nothing more exciting than watching a talent go through a grueling tournament to eventually reach a prize goal, and Triple H is clearly a fan of them. So far, we have seen the Cruiserweight Classic, which ended up being the inspiration for an entire brand dedicated to Cruiserweight wrestling, as well as the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament and the Mae Young Classic. All of these tournaments have helped create stars, and there's no doubt that they could continue to do so, with one tournament in particular, the King of the Ring, springing to mind as a brilliant idea to bring back. Number 3. Shorter Raw. This is something that wrestling fans would jump at if they were given the opportunity. When WWE first announced Raw was extending to 3 hours, it seemed like a great idea. More time for wrestlers to shine, and time for more actual wrestling on the show. However, over time, it has become pretty clear that a weekly 3-hour wrestling show is not best for business, and it's incredibly hard to keep engaging and interesting, which has led to many fans to tune out of the product. Triple H himself has discussed that 3 hours of the show can be difficult to plan, write, and execute, and if he had his way, the show would likely drop back to the more manageable 2-hour slot. Number 2. Bringing back old WCW concepts. Triple H is a real student of the game and has a huge respect for the history of the business, collecting old titles and bringing back old concepts from the past, such as the former WCW concept, War Games, something that returned to a huge success. With the game earning more respect as these decisions proved to be a success, it would make perfect sense for him to continue bringing back other ideas, such as things like Starrcade and Halloween Havoc, being at the top of many fans' wish list. Number 1. Building relationships with other companies. One thing Triple H has done a great job at, since gaining a little more control, is building relationships with some of the top independent companies in the world, such as Progress and Evolve. This has allowed them to have a first pick at the very best wrestlers in the world outside of the company, using them to put spotlight on their own UK wrestlers, and it benefits the companies too, with WWE leading their NXT stars every now and then. With cross-promotion, an idea that's getting people talking, these relationships are key to allowing that to happen, and there's no doubt that the game is only going to continue making more as time goes on.